Hey, welcome back. Bitcoin's price has moved up by roughly $1,500 today. Pretty nice move. It's still very, very small in relation to everything else that's going on here. But it is nice to have, at least one nice green candle, green daily candle, for once in a while. And because of that, or I guess, what mainly people think caused that would be it has something to do with the Fed, and I'll get to that in a second. But more on the price news. This is talking about the options expiry coming on Friday of $703 of $1 billion in options. And I'm kind of like almost tired of like the financialization of Bitcoin. I understand, yes, money. It is money. It is supposed to be the better money. But when you realize like this isn't something that you need to be trading, this is something that you save and that you hold on to. This is like, if there were only so much gold in the world, you wouldn't be trading options on it. You would be hoarding it, as much as you could. So Bitcoin being digital gold, and the more people that get it, the more people that will start to use it as a currency and will move on, on that curve of adoption of money. But I see these articles and they just kind of like bring me down sometimes. But here is actually the amount of open interest for the upcoming, or I guess that's today actually, for the options. So really not, significant. Here, I'll scroll down. There you go. Really not that significant. I mean, it's a little higher than we've seen, but, past couple of months in late April, days, sorry, these are days, haven't really been that exciting. So, you'll see news like this and then, the price will like do nothing and people will get all excited and, stuff like that. But here's really why, the price, has moved, and I don't think it's because of the upcoming options expiration. So Bitcoin rose by over 5% in the past 24 hours because, and it's kind of weird, Jerome Powell basically is saying that he's going to print more money because he can't stop, but he's also going to raise interest rates 0.5%, even after already having the report of the economy slowing down by 1.1%, like the GDP contracted by 1.1%. So already knowing that the economy is slowing, Jerome Powell is putting further brakes on. So we're going to, I don't know if we're coming in how slowly or how quickly the economy is going to slow down, but it's going to slow down. You hear very, relatively soon, probably within the year, the next 12 to 24 months. If you go back into 2016 to 2019, when they were doing interest rate hikes, you can see like as they were hiking the interest rates, in my previous video, I showed this, the price of Bitcoin. That was when the 2016, 2017, price rally really took off. So just looking for another one of those would be really nice. But people seem to think that the Fed and what the Fed does or says, really matters in what Bitcoin is. But if you understand Bitcoin, then you more or less understand that it doesn't matter what the Fed says, because you can transact without what they say. Once the market is able to freely make their decisions on what interest rates should be, I assume interest rates are going to be higher in the future. So, take that. I mean, that's I'm not a financial expert or anything. This is not financial advice, but I just assume that interest rates are going to be higher in the future, or they're either going to be higher or they're going to be negative. They're not going to remain low and small under 5% in the future. I don't think. I just think that the market, if it were allowed to freely choose its own interest rate, that it would be higher than 5%, and you would get more money on your savings. And people that would take out loans would probably not just financialize it, and they'd probably spend a lot of time and effort trying to research their project and make sure that it was worthwhile, and they could, beat the rate of interest that they had to pay on their loan or whatever. So that's just, things to think about, So, moving on. Paul Tudor Jones is saying that it's hard not to want to be long crypto. And I really hope he means Bitcoin because, well, his explanation for that is that there's a lot of, and one of the quotes in here, it's actually one of the first ones, that you see the smartest and brightest minds that are coming out of colleges today, many of them going into crypto, many are going into the Internet 3.0, Web 3.0, whatever. I really think that he's not wrong. I think, this is the space to be in because there are a lot of people talking about it. There are a lot of people building, myself included. Even if you only set up your own node and you have transactions or whatever flowing through, you need, I think, personally, I think you should download Bitcoin Core, download the whole blockchain and have it on a computer running just, 24/7. And then additionally have yourself a Lightning Network node separate from the Bitcoin Core node that you have running. So 2 separate nodes, basically, so that, I understand that the Lightning Network will download a copy of the Bitcoin Core, but it will operate on top of it. So it's helpful to have them separate for that purpose. But, and then, just transact in the market, buy Bitcoin every single day, dollar cost average, and, just get yourself into the space and help support it. And if you can, mine at home as well. I'm unfortunate in that I cannot mine in the current situation that I'm in unless I got like a USB miner or something like that. So, which is something that I've thought about. I haven't, completely dismissed it, but he's not wrong. Paul Tudor Jones, he wants to be I don't know, this phrasing is weird. It's hard not to want to be long crypto. So, is he saying that he isn't and he wants to be long crypto, or that he already is long crypto and it's hard to not be this way or something? I don't know. So I thought that was just interesting. Another billionaire talking about Bitcoin, crypto. Moving on. Joe Rogan has recently said that Bitcoin is now a viable currency and the government is freaking out. I don't know exactly if I would use the phrase freaking out. I think that they realize that the dollar's days are doomed if they don't do something drastic here soon. I tried to come up with another D word, but it didn't happen. And he's not wrong. I don't think freaking out is quite the phrase that I would use, like I said, but he's, the Fed and, any other agency that have, and banks, the Bank of International Settlements and, World Monetary Fund and, whoever else are just have really deep pockets and are really highly invested in, like, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett. They own lots of banks. They're invested in the old system. So it would make sense for them to be, concerned at the very least that Bitcoin could potentially usurp their power. And, then the way that they, have a way of transacting and doing business, because they now have competition. And it's like you had a monopoly on the space, but now you have competition, and there's nothing you can do to stop your competition. There's like 99% things you cannot do to stop your competition. So, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. What I thought also was interesting is that Joe Rogan has not explicitly, I don't think he said he's bought Bitcoin or that he is a Bitcoin maxi or anything like that. I don't know how much he knows about crypto or Bitcoin or anything. I really don't watch his or listen to his podcast, but the fact that he has millions of viewers regularly, more than 1,800 episodes, which is incredible. And I also looked up, he has like something around 11 million unique viewers a week or something like that for his podcast, which is insane. But good for him. So that just means that he is now exposed. If, I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between Bitcoiners that already listen to what he says and, already invested in Bitcoin. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen to him that don't or haven't bought Bitcoin, and now they might, because of the things that they're hearing. So if you have a large audience, then, I think it's part of your due diligence, your duty to, spread the word, which is part of what I'm doing, even though I have zero audience. So moving on, I thought, this is nice. I think it's the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is basically trying to reflect what Joe Biden has done with his executive order, maybe a little fast tracked to try and get something put together as a framework for the state of California. I think Texas is actually doing a better job to, incentivizing other people to like, hey, come to the state and just maybe we'll figure something out. Once we like see patterns of like what exactly we need, let the space open and flourish before we start hammering down with regulation first. So I don't really like the way that California or Joe Biden has come about with the crypto space. Even though I do think that what the executive order that Biden signed is needed because of the lack of cojones that institutional investors have in holding actual Bitcoin themselves. So they still want an ETF or some exchange product that they can, have. I'm sure it's a liability thing. Like if they lost their own keys to their Bitcoin, then what would happen, and they don't want to take responsibility, and it's literally because they have done zero research into like owning actual Bitcoin. They're too lazy to change how their institution makes investments or anything like that. So I don't feel too sorry for institutional investors. I stack Bitcoin every day, and it's their loss. They could be jumping in at any moment that they really want to, but they refuse to because they want to wait for the SEC to say, here's an ETF, a spot ETF, go there, have fun. We'll see. So we'll see what also California comes up with in the future, how that rolls out for them. And then one of the last things, I haven't read this yet, but I thought the title was really cool, Currency of Last Resort. I was going to read it before recording this video. I do skim through all the articles at the very least before I make recordings. But this was so long, it's like a short story. So it seems like a very interesting sort of short story about, Russia and Ukraine and Bitcoin and how that acts as a humanitarian lifeline. So that'll be, I'll be reading that probably soon. And I think you should too. Just, give it, a thought. There's that. And then I'll leave you on one last note. So we keep talking about adoption and use cases and, positive bullish stats for Bitcoin. And, recently, what was it? 2 days ago? And this is, I think, a more live chart. I'm trying to find, like, charts that are more live, like in the moment. But, it's hard to find data sometimes. But here it says that we hit a new record of 270 exahashes. So we are at a quarter of the next. We are over a quarter of the next unit up. I guess it's the zettahash is the next one. So 1 exahash, or I'm sorry, 1 zettahash is 1,000 exahashes. So we're already over a quarter of the way there at 270 exahashes, that we've reached thus far. So more bullish news on Bitcoin. It's always coming through. So I really think you should buy, and I think you should subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time.